And we're live.
It's live.
Like, tell the people that are watching right now.
Oh man, Audacity doesn't have my microphone registry.
It never does.
I always wonder if people who watch these on YouTube are annoyed by how much like boring fucking like prep work is required. Why is it gonna show
We
up?
demand perfectly manicured videos when we watch our YouTube podcasts.
Do we get a lot of views on our YouTube?
We get a good bit of views.
How many?
Not as many as podcast listens. You said that we got a lot of podcast listens the other day, right, Zach? What was the number on that?
We've been hot lately. We've been HOT.
HOT.
That's great.
My microphone
Thanks,
just straight
guys.
up
Like
is
and
not
subscribe.
being picked up by my computer. It's very annoying.
You know what? This microphone always gives me a hard time.
Let's do the other side.
Actually, every time I try to record a podcast, it gives me a hard time. So I'm just surprised it's the first time you're having a hard time. Can you believe I almost said record the pasta?
Record pasta. God fucking damn it.
That's a curse.
I can curse.
What are we gonna do, Swaff?
I don't know.
You wanna try my computer?
I would like my computer to work for the podcast. Like in general, moving forward.
Well, yeah, moving forward maybe, but for right now, do you want to use my computer?
We have to reconnect to the stream thing.
It happens.
Why don't you just let me restart my computer? Sorry. This will be faster than connecting to Jesse's.
No, it wouldn't. My computer's right over here. Just chill.
Okay, we'll just chill.
Can I?
It's on the Slack, right?
It's on the side.
It's on the Slack. Dang, I guess I gotta watch the Hot Ones with Colin Farrell. He's dropping Terrence Malick stories.
Interesting. Man, we recently rewatched The New World. That's so good.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Have you seen that movie, Zach?
Mm-mm.
Dude, you're missing out. If you like a good Terrence Malick movie, that shit's a good Terrence Malick movie.
I'm really excited for this new Batman movie.
Are you sincerely?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the plot. By the plot, I just mean Zoe Kravitz.
Yes. Zoe Kravitz in a leather catsuit.
I mean, I don't like who even cares what the rest of this is. Oh, what's going on here? Whoa.
Okay.
This is killer 3 minutes of live.
See, this is the ride that you get taken on as a YouTube viewer.
And you know, there's people who just are like sitting here watching it.
Where is this? Okay. No, he doesn't edit it out because it uploads automatically, right?
What?
Yeah, I'm lazy. I'm lazy.
But is the
I got shit to
microphone
do, man. You know, just skip past the 3 minutes. Fuck.
audio?
You don't edit any of
It's
this.
not fucking showing. I think this microphone might be fucked.
Oh no.
I mean, we can do it on built-in speakers.
Bummer.
Hold on.
Have to get a new one.
Hold on. I mean, this microphone has served me for a very long time.
Well, with your money donated on Patreon.
Yeah, we can buy a new fucking microphone. Patreon.
Yeah, if you go to patreon.com/cinematary, you too can help Andrew buy a fucking microphone that works.
You'll never have to deal with this shit
Also,
again.
is this our time to plug our favorite household beer
PBR.
that we talk
Pabst
quickly?
Blue Ribbon.
PBR, the union's choice for beer.
The poor man's beer. The best cheap beer, or is it
Working
just
man's.
the working man's beer? The
Working
best
man's
cheap beer,
beer.
or is it just the best beer? You decide.
It might be
Brought to
all
you by
three.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. Eventually, we hope.
Eventually.
Are we ready?
Yeah,
Oh
let's
wait,
do
we
it.
gotta get Audacity.
So we have no microphone.
No, we're just going on vibes.
So it's
Going-
gonna be.
Oh wait, it says Blue Snowball fucking there,
No,
even though it's not even plugged in.
it remembers. I don't think it's gonna work this well.
I am gonna chuck this microphone out the window. Let's see. Man, the organization of your computer kills me.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to change it. It operates exactly as it does. Whereas wherever they put the shit originally is where I find it.
And it never closes ever.
Yeah.
Now it's not showing up.
It's not
Once
showing.
it's plugged in, it's like there's no
Okay,
microphone.
we've already
Sorry.
established that we're not going to use a microphone
Okay.
tonight. That we need a new microphone. So if
Yes.
you can just find us on patreon.com. Sheesh.
I closed Audacity because I'm an idiot.
So Zach,
Okay, we got it.
any more mansion parties?
No.
No.
Okay, we're ready to go.
In 3, 2, 1. Hold on. We're good.
Do you want me to start over? Keep going.
No, just mine. No, you're good.
Should we re-record though?
And welcome to episode 393 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with.
Andrew Swafford.
And Jess.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about movies that we saw this week in part 1. And in part 2, we will be continuing our romance movie series for 2004's The Notebook.
Jesse's choice.
Yeah. I mean, listen, our series was greatest of all time romance movies.
Greatest
Is
pop
it
romance.
one of
movies.
my favorites? Well, you'll find out in part 2. But is this
Real radio tease, though.
I would say, could we say like broadly, is this one of
It's a canon.
all-time favorite canon,
It's a canon romance.
movies? Yes. So that's
I
what
don't see
we're
any
gonna
cannons
discuss
in
today.
it, but okay.
Yeah.
No
A
cannons.
romance between a
We'll get to
woman
it in part 2.
and
Let's
her
save this
canon.
banter for part 2.
Real quickly, we usually pump up the Patreon in the middle section, but just wanted to
Let's
give
pump
you
it up
guys an
now.
update. Let's pump it up now. Patreon.com/Cinematary. We added a thing. So normally we have the one tier and it's $5. We have a lot of people, if you stay to the end of the podcast, I usually name off a bunch of names that at this point I can kind of say by memory, which is unnecessary.
If only we had more patrons.
Yeah, but
Zach wouldn't have to memorize this list.
I don't have to memorize damn names. But no, we added a new one. We're gonna add 2 new ones, but for right now we have at least one new one, which is just $1. So if you would like to donate, we'll say your name at least until it just becomes absurd. But for now we got if you just want to be like,
if it becomes absurd, we'll find something else to.
Yeah, we'll find.
Because I would be very happy if it became an absurdly long list.
But
that would be good.
But yeah, it'd be great. So like if it's just one of those like we had an episode that month and you're just like, let's throw them a bone. This is your perfect tier, $1. So it's there if you just want to throw us a bone. I think I called it throw us a bone tier.
Is there a reward associated with the throw us a bone tier?
Yeah, I think we'll give you depending on again how many people do it. We'll give you a shout out.
Okay. And to remind people, the $5 tier, that means you get the shout out, and specifically like the main enticement here is that we will occasionally ask you what movie you want us to cover for the show, and we will just do a week on whatever movie you want. And
some people torture us with that. So
some people make us watch Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, we've gotten some really interesting recommendations. Everything from Starship Troopers to Romeo and Juliet.
We got some good ones recently, though. That little series of Grave of the Fireflies, Dr. Strangelove, and Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Whew,
That was a fun
that was some
series.
heat.
Because we got some cool listeners out
Yeah.
there. If you're a cool listener, why don't you go ahead and support us on patreon.com. Throw us a bone or maybe a little bit
Throw
more.
us a bone because we're a podcast proudly brought to you by PBR.
The working
PBR,
man's
the
beer.
working man's beer.
That's
PBR.
why we need patrons, because PBR.
They're not coming through with the money. It's really, they keep saying, we'll bring it. And I'm like, oh, just keep sending me the beer. That's fine.
That's
All right,
what we do.
Let's talk about movies that were playing in theaters and such this week.
We got some good ones.
Yeah, we got some good ones. So I'm gonna kick us off. I caught the Worst Person in the World, the 2021 film from Norway from director Joachim Trier. Familiar to people, I think Thelma, Louder Than
Love
Bombs, things like that. But this one, it goes about, I think, 4 years in the life of a young woman named Julie, as she kind of navigates her love life as well as her career path. She has specifically 2 partners that you kind of follow her with. The first one is played by Anders Danielsen Lai, who kind of just has a cool. I mean, the dude's an actor, but he also is like a doctor, which that seems like a whole.
Oh yeah,
It's just kind of a cool.
He's like a coronavirus doctor, right?
Yeah. So like last year, he was like fighting the coronavirus and filming this movie. So like, good for
wow.
you, man.
Not that there are specific doctors just for the coronavirus. I feel like every doctor is helping people with the coronavirus, but
Sure.
like he's like a celebrity and like people know him.
Well, he's like
a doctor
too.
who's saving people from the coronavirus and acting in this movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Did he act as a doctor? Was his character a doctor?
No, he plays a comic book artist in this.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then she has another partner played by Herbert Nordrum.
Herbert?
Herbert.
Okay,
It's
go for
Norway.
it.
It's
Continue.
Norway.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
just-
Because he's like not hot enough. I need a hotter.
I just had like a 90-year-old uncle named Herbert, but yeah, it's cool.
I really like this movie. I wish I could have seen it earlier. Probably would have worked its way at some place in my best of the year list. I think.
Are we calling it a 2021 movie though?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't give that deep. I didn't like give that much deep thought
Sure.
to like what I wanted to call it. I mean, I'll call it
I'm
whatever.
saying you should put it on your 2022 list.
I'll probably forget by that point. Just well.
This movie's great. You'll forget it by the end of the year.
I forget what came out what year. I'm just it's all over the place. But yeah, it starts. So it's separated. It starts with like a prologue, and then it's cut up into like 12 different chapters, and then it ends with a epilogue. And so it kind of has a little bit of like romance movie structures, not necessarily rom-coms, but like romance movie structures of the different levels that you go through in the relationship. Each
Is she
chapter,
dating the guys concurrently, or is it different parts of the movie?
no, she dates them at different parts. But you know, I mean, she runs into them. There's each of them. She kind of has two different relationships with like the one, like you start out with the Anders Danielsen Lai character, and that's kind of who she's with for a very long time, and then she meets the other guy for like this kind of whirlwind night type situation. Then she leaves the first guy and goes to stay with that guy, and then while she's with that guy, she runs into the other guy. So like they meet at different points in life.
Mm-hmm.
But the 12 chapters are set up and just kind of, I like the way that they're structured. They're very they're structured kind of like memories rather than like fully realized stories. You know, it's mainly just kind of moments in time, and it kind of has like this, you know, somewhat of a fragmented way where just it'll end and just kind of it'll end in just like a fragment and then move on to the next chapter, because it's more of her just kind of recollecting these moments,
like Boyhood,
relationships,
right?
to a degree. but it also kind of has like these wonderful cinematic flourishes. There's one scene where she's talking with her partner, and then she like switches on a light, and it like freezes everybody like in the world, and she like goes and runs to to the other guy who's also moving, and there's like this whole kind of romance sequence between them as they're running around the world, and everybody's like frozen in time. And like I've seen a couple of Joaquin Trier's things. I've never been like a giant fan of his. It seems this one seems a lot more playful.
What'd you think of Thelma?
I've never seen Thelma actually.
That's the only thing I think I've seen.
Yeah,
from him.
I really liked Thelma too.
I liked it. It didn't really stick with me all that much, but it's a very interesting movie.
It's one I've kind of been meaning to buy. Actually, I would like to have it. It's a good sapphic movie.
Yeah, but this one's good. I think in terms of like it's a coming of age movie, but it's a coming of age movie later. It's not high school aged or like or college, like getting out of college or something. Yeah, it's more in line with like Frances Ha, where it's I mean, she's in her late 20s, early 30s. She's just kind of she's just one of those those adults who, I think we're in that stage where you have like the friends who are kind of going, all right, let's go to that next level. We're going to get, married and have kids and do like the traditional path.
Yeah.
And she very much wants to kind of live more of a free lifestyle and not have to follow, there's one large sequence where she goes with the Anders Danielson Lie character to like a cabin, and it's like a bigger cabin. There's a lot of his friends there, and he's older. She's, like I said, late 20s, and he's, I think, like mid to late 30s. And there's all these friends of his, and they all have kids, and they're all kind of talking about less like what do we want to do in our careers, and more we're at this point in our careers, and how do we want to kind of focus more on our family life. And naturally, she kind of has like a blow up there, just because she that repetitiveness, that traditionalism that everybody's kind of falling into, she immediately rejects.
Is she the worst person in the world for
no I don't know
who's
I was trying to think while watching. I don't think anybody's like that bad. I mean,
why does this movie have that title? That's a pretty strong title.
Like she's a Fleabag type.
At one point somebody says worst person in the world, and I was like, oh,
that's the name of the movie.
But overall, I don't know. I liked it. I think it's a very smart romance movie. I think it's one that like is less about like the movie we're going to talk about later today, where you're just waiting for the whole rain sequence where they're yelling at each other and they make out. This one is more you kind of have all these three kind of messy, complicated characters that you're bouncing in between. They feel like real people. They feel like just these they feel like natural, like genuine challenges that they're going through, and it's more just about the kind of like messiness of love rather than just the flowery Hallmark version of it. So I recommend it. I think it's pretty smart. The actress who plays the lead role is very good. I think this is one of her first things that she's been in. At least that's like kind of widespread. But she was very good. There's also this like really crazy trippy scene where they do mushrooms. I thought was really fun. So worst person in the world, check it out.
Seeing it this weekend. Yeah, so excited.
Yeah. But you guys, you all have some new releases, some Oscar movies.
One movie that will never, under any circumstances, be nominated for an Oscar, but it's great. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I forget which ones we're talking about.
Drive My Car, and Bad Luck Banging, or Loony Porn. That's the one. If you can guess, that's the one that will get nominated for an Oscar. Bad Luck Banging?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Do you want to introduce it?
You're going to need to, I don't know where this came from or where it went.
This is a Cannes movie. It came out at Cannes, I want to say like 2 years ago. And I've just been patiently waiting for this movie to come out because the premise is so great. I mean, you could also imagine the premise being like Judd Apatow comedy or something, and that would be really shitty. But like done right, this is a really interesting premise. It's about a school teacher.
Yeah.
It's set in Romania.
Yeah.
I should look up what country it's set in. But she's a school teacher who like records herself and her husband having sex, and her husband uploads it to Pornhub without her consent, and students in her class see it.
I feel like they tried to make it seem like her husband took her computer in for cleaning or something.
That's the cover-up story. She later admits that he uploaded it without her consent. Her students see it, and then like it becomes a school board parent-teacher conference like court trial, like them putting her on trial to see if she loses her teaching license or not. As people who work in schools, this is an immediately engaging and like terrifying premise. Yeah. Not that we're like taking videos of ourselves fucking and uploading them to Pornhub, but like the list or the breadth of like what parents / school boards are willing to get upset with if they find out about in your personal life is very broad, right? Like, and also as a person who like lives so much of my life on the internet, like I'm on Twitter all the time. My tweets like go back to like 2014. I've been doing this podcast since 2014. There's like hundreds of hours of me like pontificating and sharing my opinions about stuff. And somebody who like live streams too. Like if somebody wanted to like comb through my entire internet footprint and find something that would be upsetting to some parent, they could do it, right? Like I'm could like be shot down by KCSPD at any moment is basically like a paranoia that lives in the back of my life as a teacher. That last part is hyperbole, but you know
that's our challenge to you, listeners.
In the like
overselling this
in the like CRT hysteria world, in the hysteria about like Texas just passed a law about like if anybody is known to be like supporting a trans person, like they themselves can go to prison. Like the list of things that we're like targeting teachers for is broad.
I mean, but really, I think we could just get into a long, broader conversation about education and how like ridiculous, like the expectations are on public servants to just like not have private lives
to be perfect people,
or to be absolutely crystal clear, perfect, like clean in their private lives. But I don't think like literally anybody that is, but.
Or even like having radical political views, right?
Like you're just supposed to like fit perfectly in line. Like I've got a principal who doesn't even like to see tattoos or piercings. Yeah,
she has to take her nose ring off when she's at school because the principal will fucking fire her if she won't.
First of all, let's not get into that. But anyway, I think professional world is weird, especially when you work in schools. And so this movie is a premise and conclusion that is something that is close to heart for us as educators in our household. But it probably is something that's relatable to people in a lot of different fields. But anyway.
Film critic Scott Tobias said that somebody could make the best possible like American remake of this movie. Like, of all the foreign art films that get remade in America, like this is the one to do.
And so what I'll say about this is it's I don't know how at the end of the day it's interesting. It's a very interesting the way it's made because it's structured in 3 parts. Like you just said, Zach, that the movie you watched was structured in multiple parts too. Can you not do that right now?
I have to do this right now. Go on.
No, it does that all the time. It says that all the time. Can you
Audacity might stop in the middle of us recording.
Okay. Well, sorry, Andrew's just doing some stuff.
We're editing this out later.
Okay. He's probably not going to edit this out. The movie is structured in 3 parts. So the first part is kind of us sort of figuring out what the conflict is, which is that this video has been uploaded and she's going to have to speak in front of the school board. The second half of the movie, and the second part of the movie, gives us this it's this almost, I guess you'd call it like avant-garde or something, almost like a slideshow or something where they're showing pictures or clips and then they have a description with that clip. So it's like we're not seeing the main character at all. We actually get a lot of clips about like Romani culture and like I guess, ways in which like Romani people have been discriminated against and hurt over years
Right.
historically.
Like if you've heard the term gypsy be used as like a derogatory thing, that is like a racial epithet towards these people. Because they are discriminated against minority in this country and Europe. And
so the whole second section of the movie is like I said, it's literally like a slideshow. Like it'll show you a small clip of something, or it'll show you an image of something, and then a definition, and then move on to the next thing. And it does that for, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes maybe. Like it goes on for a while.
The movie, the 3 parts of the movie are like, they have equal length.
Yeah, so it goes on for at least like 20, 30 minutes. It's very long,
yeah.
And so I guess your mileage will vary in how engaged you are with that section of the movie. And my thoughts on it was that while they were like kind of interesting and funny at times, the way that they had that piece of it, I didn't know how relevant I really felt like it was to the plot of the movie. And kind of just wanted the movie to tell itself without that section. I don't know, like, I mean, they really go out of their way to, I don't know, try to do this artsy thing, but it just felt to me pretty out of place with the way the rest of the movie was told. And the third section of the movie was literally like her trial. So she, this mom,
which is
this teacher,
hysterical.
Oh my God,
like it is very, very funny.
It's so insane. It's like so insane. So she gets on trial in front of all of these teachers and colleagues, and they're basically voting whether or not she's going to get fired. And then this third section itself is split into 3 sections. Kind of like at the end of Clue, where they're like, it could have happened this way, or it could have happened this way, but here's what really happened. That's kind of what they do here. So they show it in 3 parts. One in which they vote to keep her on. Somehow she like talks her way into like not getting fired. The second one is she talks her way out, or she isn't able to, and they fire her. And the third way, I think that they
don't say what happens in the third way.
The third way,
it cannot be spoiled. It should not be spoiled.
Batshit. Like, it's just nuts.
You love a good Clue ending in any case,
but
a Clue ending that is this wild and
just
silly,
wacky,
oh my
completely
God,
out off the wall.
Yeah.
So it's just it's very much a comedy in a lot of sections of the movie, but it's made so oddly too.
I think only the third section is comedy. The first section is like
stressful.
Slow cinema.
Yeah.
And it's like it has this interesting structure where she's like basically walking and to place throughout her day. Like you're seeing her whole day from beginning to end. And like you also spend time with her in walking sequences.
So much walking.
She like just walks from one end of the screen to the next. And like the camera will focus on the advertisement behind her. And it's like less of a study in this woman and how her life is going and more a way of like observing like the cultural landscape and like what late capitalism looks like. And it's like ugly. Like you're spending so much time in like she like walks past like toy aisles in department stores and stuff like that, and just everything looks so like gross and cheap.
It's just like and then there's a lot of scenes. I feel like there's multiple scenes where they show you just other people just being shitty to each other for no reason. Like there's people parked on the road, and then
just like how fucking stressed out everybody is.
People
all the
just
time
like yelling at each other over
Yeah.
stuff that like they just could really easily avoid yelling at each other for. Like somebody's parked on the sidewalk and she could have just walked around and not said anything, but instead she like screams at him. And there's these two people in a grocery store, and they linger on this scene of these two people just like chewing each other out at a grocery store for like trying to cut in line or something. And it's just, I don't know. It's just like that. The first section is really grimy.
I mean, the whole movie is kind of about.
Kind of grimy.
It's about like the ways in which the political and economic forces that shape our lives like pit people against each other. Like, and it is kind of like a necessity that like in order for people to live in like this political system or under this type of like economic conditions, they have to just like be constantly like stabbing the other one in the throat in order to like get like one step ahead.
Even her husband, which I guess I think we confirm it's her husband, but there was some hint that maybe it was like another partner of hers.
It's either her husband or her longtime boyfriend. She's not cheating on him.
Okay, but also I guess I should say the movie is set not in 3 sections but in 4, because it begins with like probably a 5-minute long like uncut porn.
Oh yeah, the first thing you see in the movie is the porn they
tape.
shot, unsimulated. that like later in the movie when people watch the porn, like there's a hilarious fucking part in the trial where somebody takes out a laptop and plays the porn from beginning to end, but you can't see it because the camera's too far away, but you know what they're seeing because you've literally seen it at the beginning of the movie.
But you watch these people like scoot up to the camera to watch the entire thing, like as if it wasn't enough for them to like watch a second of it and know exactly what they're seeing. They watch the entire thing, those little perverts, and then they all vote to try. Like it's just
this movie. I'm raising this movie half-star on Letterboxd. I fucking love this movie.
The structure of it is just such a weird, frothy mess. I don't know. It's very just unhinged, but it was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. And we'll say again, as an educator. It's like a horror movie.
All the Oscars. Give Bad Luck Banging all the Oscars.
I don't think I even rated it because I don't know what to do with it. Because like I said, it's a mess. It feels like a lot of disjointed things that are just kind of like thrown into a pot together and served like that. And I don't know what to do with it.
I like it. It's structured like an avant-garde film almost.
It's sloppy, yeah.
But anyways, that's Bad Luck Banging. You know how you can see this movie right now? You know the only way you can see this movie, I'm pretty sure? You can get it through Netflix DVD. That is how I watched this movie because Michael O'Malley got it through Netflix DVD, not even knowing that it was available yet. And I was like, can I borrow your Netflix DVD? And I did, and I'm glad I did.
I'm looking at it, and it says you can rent it for $3 on or $4 on Amazon.
Oh, got it. Never mind. You can also do that.
You can also get it for free on Netflix DVD.
But doesn't that sound fun to get it on Netflix DVD?
Yeah, I have to wait. I just didn't even know I didn't even know they still offered that. But of course, Michael O'Malley knows.
That's how he watches most of his movies. A true king, Michael O'Malley.
He's a gem.
Michael O'Malley.
Do we have time to talk about one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Jess, do you want to introduce Drive My Car?
Do I want to? No, you do it.
The Oscar frontrunner this year.
Man, well, so Drive My Car.
Oh, so you do want to?
I guess.
Go ahead.
Directed by Yusuke Hamaguchi.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that's kind of about a man. He's an actor and a director.
A stage director.
And so a stage actor and a stage director. And his wife is, I don't know, she works on camera too.
She's a film director.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's kind of a baddie. And they're in love. Or until. They're in love until.
It's a great summary. Keep going.
Dies. So sad. So it's pretty hard to everybody.
I love this is a movie that brings people to tears. That is wounded people, and you're laughing.
I mean, it's pretty early.
His wife dies, and you're laughing.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I mean, it's not really news. I thought, I guess I didn't even know we were going to get as much time with his wife as we did. I thought the whole movie was after the death, but we spend quite a bit of time.
It's like a 45-minute.
They have a really interesting relationship that maybe I'll get into with. I guess I can get into later, but I'll get into it later. But one thing that she does for him, which is really nice, is she records her voice speaking his speaking parts while he's acting in the play, or speaking all the speaking parts but the one that he's playing. So he'll listen to him in the car and he'll speak out his lines, and that's how he memorizes his lines. It's really sweet that she does that for him. So he keeps those tapes, and after she dies, he continues to act in the same play, and he continues to listen to her and kind of be with her through those tapes. Well, anyway, he gets hired to direct this, I guess, in Hiroshima. Yeah. So
a site of grief.
He gets hired to direct it in Hiroshima. And also, I guess I should say, he got in an accident at a certain point in the movie, so then he got some vision stuff going on. He kind of lost some of his sight, but he loves to drive. And driving is his favorite thing. That's how he memorizes his stuff. Anyway, so he gets hired. He moves to Hiroshima.
It's a complicated plot. It really is.
He gets hired. He moves to Hiroshima. But then they tell him that for some reason he has to have a driver, and he's like, "Why?" And they're like, "That's our company policy." Even though they don't make anybody else in their company do it. So my thinking is, low key, they're kind of discriminated against him because of his glaucoma. But I don't know.
Damn.
Unproven, but
A movie
anyway,
about ableism.
I think so. So they make him have a driver, and he's kind of pissed about it for a little
Zach
while.
is so incredulous right now. He's like, what is this movie exactly?
Like, what the fuck are you talking about right now?
That's the premise.
This is,
I don't know what this movie
it's
is
the
about.
best movie of the
It's
year.
apparently the best movie of the year. He has a driver. He and the driver bond. You know what I mean? They talk about grief. The driver also lost a lot of people. He lost some
people die all the
important
time. I mean,
people die. People can bond with each other over grief. I guess that's what the movie is about. Is bonding over grief.
It's about people bonding over grief.
It didn't sit with me. Really, it didn't really do much for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot to me of repetitiveness. There's a lot of the characters were interesting enough, but so much of the story is just us watching the characters read lines to each other or practice lines to each other or read the same lines of dialogue to each other. And I don't know if those lines of dialogue are supposed to be like hitting, but I got to a point in the movie where I was learning to just tune out them reading the same lines of dialogue over and over again. And so when real characters would actually be having profound dialogue between each other, I was kind of tuning that out too, because I was getting used to tuning out.
You just weren't listening.
I wasn't listening.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I know that sounds really shallow. I keep telling Andrew one day they're gonna kick me off this podcast.
Just bring it back.
Bring it back. And I don't know.
Did you mention it is adapted from a story by Haruki Murakami?
Yeah, I didn't really have.
No,
So-
she missed that in the plot synopsis.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, I mean, very celebrated, popular Japanese author. I've read quite a few of his things. I've read Wind Up Bird Chronicle. I've read Kafka on the Shore. I've read his short story collection, The Elephant Vanishes, which is actually where the short story comes from. And that's my favorite thing that I've read by him, The Elephant Vanishes. And he has a very interesting writing style in that he has like an interestingly uninteresting writing style. Like he writes like very dry and matter of fact, but a lot of the things that he writes about do like kind of lean into the fantastical or like tiptoe into the fantastical. Some of them are like full, like I jumped in the deep end fantasy, like Wind Up Bird Chronicle is. But like for the most part, they're kind of mundane, but they just have like, most of them have one toe in the fantastical world. And this is like a completely realistic story, basically. So it's odd for him. But the movie tries to kind of replicate his writing style, I would say, in the filmmaking style. And maybe it's just Hamaguchi's filmmaking style. I don't know. I haven't seen his other movies. But it's not exactly slow cinema. The shots aren't like super long or anything like that. But it's very mundane. And it's kind of like low-key and quiet. And like there's this scene when he's directing his actors to put on this play where he talks about like how he makes them like wrap their knuckles on the table after they say a line like this, so that they have to wait a beat for the next person to start talking. Like he creates space in between the lines that his actors read. Like that's his theater style. And it feels like there's that kind of translates to the style of the movie where it's just a little protracted. And you're also like not seeing like big important plot things happen all the time. It's like we're following him to go to dinner. We're following him to go to the rehearsal. We're following him to get drinks with somebody after the rehearsal. And like on a certain level, I do find that really appealing and really cozy in a way, especially in the like wintry atmosphere this movie takes place in. But it didn't really hit me emotionally in a way that it seems like it is hitting almost everybody who watches it. Like people give this 4.5, 5 stars on Letterboxd, and they talk about how they left the theater bawling, and it just didn't hit me that way. And I don't think that's a fault of the movie necessarily. It might just be like I don't have a lot of trauma about grief, or I don't have it like grief hasn't been a huge presence in my life, so it doesn't like hit me super hard. But I mean, to me, it was just kind of like a good, for an art house movie. It wasn't life changing, and I also didn't think it was like boring or bad or anything. Though it could probably be a little shorter. I don't think it needs to be 3 hours long.
I thought like they did some interesting stuff. Like the thing that was funky about his wife and his relationship with his wife was like he knew that she was cheating on him.
Yeah.
And he had like caught her cheating on him several times. And so there was this interesting story in there, and that's probably where the Murakami like aspect of it really jumps the most. Is kind of their weird dynamic there, where he was like aware that she was cheating on him, but she only cheated on him like in different, I don't know if she was like a TV director or what, but film director, whatever it was. Like she would cheat on him specifically with like whoever the star is of her current thing.
Yeah.
And she would tell stories to help her like remember like her new story ideas and stuff. And so like with each of her partners, like him and the others, like as she was having sex with somebody, she was like narrating the story.
Tell them the next chapter of the
Yes.
story. That is a very Murakami thing. Yeah.
Like
it's like she's connected to like the muse or something when she's having sex.
Like that weird like inner character shit was
Yeah.
really interesting. And that's kind of what I thought was interesting about the movie.
Move into the rest of the movie. So it's like very interestingly structured. And like if it's going to be a 3-hour movie about grief, we really need to know the person that we're grieving over at the beginning of the movie. So like I thought that was kind of a very smart move.
Yeah.
I liked the kind of shape of it in that way.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I thought there were some interesting pieces to it, but I think it just what it was supposed to accomplish just didn't really land for me, and I can't really explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Drive my car, drive me somewhere else.
You're gonna see this weekend, right?
Yeah. Well, you're gonna see that, and we're gonna see Worst Person in the World. So
yeah, I would say this is a different director, but in terms of other movies based on Murakami stories, this is not nearly as good as Burning. Burning is so good,
dude. I saw a clip of Burning the other day, and I was just like, "That shit, man."
Why do I not own that movie? Yeah.
I love Burning. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be back talking about The Notebook after this. So stick around.
Sorry for my horrible, like 10-minute long description of this movie.
Oh, you're good. It's a complicated movie.
I just didn't know what it was about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just kind of sitting.
No, I feel like I know it all.
Where's the fucking number we on? What is the episode number, Zach?
393. I kind of want to watch Dear Evan Hansen just again.
Dude, wait, you've seen it? Oh yeah, you saw it, Tiff.
I saw it, Tiff. I just want to watch it again as like
I want to watch it. I want to watch it like I watched Cats.
Like a cursed product. Like I just remember just watching it and being like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
It's just the whole time you're like, "Oh." I got uncomfortable because I mean he ruins these people's lives.
I am ready to go whenever you guys are.
I'm not ready.
You are not ready?
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I believe you.
Robert Eggers says The Northman, starring Alexander Skarsgård, will feature a naked sword fight on a volcano.
Hell yeah! Robert Eggers giving the people what they want to see.
Alexander Skarsgård naked sword fighting on a volcano?
Yeah.
It didn't say if it was Alexander Skarsgård.
I'm in.
But somebody's
How
going to
did he
be
know?
naked.
How did he know?
This is like me watching The Green Knight and being like, it's just like Dark Souls. Hell yeah. Like, I want The Northman to be another It's Just Like Dark Souls movie.
No, all I'm hearing is Alexander Skarsgård naked sword fighting on a volcano.
Yeah, I mean, can you not imagine something like that happening in Dark Souls?
Yeah, but they're probably going to be like, they look like a zombie.
That's true, yeah.
They're going to be like all crispied up. I don't want to see that.
We don't want any crispy.
I don't want no crispy, man. I want a nice
I just want to see really cool fantasy shit happen. You know,
Yeah.
all the
that's
fantasy
good.
shit that happens in like fucking Marvel movies. It doesn't look good.
I like. There was a part of me yesterday that was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch one of these Star Wars or Marvel shows.
No,
Like I had like
don't
a
fucking do that to yourself.
I had like a mental breakdown or whatever. So like I literally was like, all right, let me just watch the trailer for Loki. And I
Yeah.
watched it. I did not watch any Marvel shows. I just could like I was like, what the hell?
No, never mind.
You should.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's difficult because everybody wants to talk to you about the Boba Fett. And I'm like, I don't know what that. Yeah. They're like, if you watch the Boba Fett, I'm like, yeah, no, I haven't watched the Boba Fett. And they're
Is he
like,
Why
talking
did they
about
make
Mandalorian?
2 fucking shows about Boba Fett?
dude, I don't know.
Who gives a shit about
It's Star Wars. They literally open everything
No,
with
there's
like
the Mandalorian, and then there's the Book of Boba Fett.
well, it's like Star Wars is
That's what I'm
Who's asking
saying.
for this?
Star Wars people, man, they're fucking maniacs.
Star Wars
I apologize
people.
to any
There's
Star Wars
like
people watching this video,
I don't.
but you
like,
should get better interest.
You should watch different things.
There's
I mean,
so
like
much
Star
more.
Wars, it's like
Go
it's
watch
like a
Dune.
galaxy.
Then get obsessed with Dune, maybe.
Dude,
Well, no,
it's
it's
fucking cool.
It's like
Yeah.
a galaxy far, far away, and there's like 8 people that we follow.
Yeah.
That's a whole galaxy. We follow 8 people.
8
Boba
nerds
Fett.
too.
But he's not even that interesting. He's just a fucking clone man who kills people. Like,
Yeah. Where's
whatever.
that one guy who was
So
played
is Ted
by?
Bundy. I mean, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about the
Where's my
Notebook.
show about General Grievous? I want to see that shit.
Watch something
Obi-Wan.
else.
I actually would not watch this.
Go
shit.
watch
Disney do
Dune.
not make any
Well,
more
'cause
Star
they
Wars
would-
TV shows.
They would
Dune
make it so.
will.
They would make it so serious, like his like parent, his little like 6-arm parents die, and he's just
Yeah.
like, I want to be a general one day.
Don't give them any more ideas, Zach. Knowing them, they'll do it.
Oh, it'll
already
be like
done.
really serious, like Grievous,
I'm so sick of it.
starring Alexander Skarsgård.
God, no, you know who?
Naked on a
So much?
volcano.
Chris fucking Pratt.
It would be fucking Chris Pratt as General Grievous.
I saw this is the last thing, and then we promise viewers we'll talk about stuff. I saw somebody share a meme. You know the meme of like the dominoes where you push the first domino and then the last domino is whatever
I
happened.
love these memes.
The first domino was Amy Poehler finds a scrappy semi-homeless working actor to play in her sitcom, and the last domino is
Chris Pratt is Mario.
no it was scarier. It was Chris Pratt equals Ronald Reagan 2.0.
Oh my
Run
god.
for president? No.
Oh no.
No, Zach, don't.
Please don't let me imagine that future.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's awful. Anyway, let's talk about stuff. Speaking of awful things, let's talk about the next one.
Is it ready? All the
Yeah,
audacity?
we're ready.
All right.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. And we're back with part 2 of episode 393 of Cinematary. In this part, we will be continuing our romance movies series with 2004's The Notebook. Directed by Nick Cassavetes from a script by Jeremy Levin. The film stars Ryan Gosling, Rachel McAdams, Gina Rollins, James Garner, and James Marsden.
Do you have the fun fact about the director in here?
That he's the son of John Cassavetes.
Yes, that is the fun fact.
And the actor who plays the.
And the actor, what's her name?
Gina Rollins is
His mom is in the movie, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think that was interesting. I thought that was just part of the thing.
He directed his mommy.
It's interesting in how different of a movie this is from every John Cassavetes movie.
I mean, that's true. I wish it was a John Cassavetes movie.
Sorry.
In 1940 South Carolina.
Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling in like a John Cassavetes romance where they're yelling at each other the whole time. This movie is close to that. There are parts of it that are that.
It wants to be it. In 1940 South Carolina, mill worker Noah Calhoun and rich girl Allie are desperately in love. but her parents don't approve. When Noah goes off to serve in World War II for 5 seconds, it seems to mark the end of their love affair. In the interim, Allie becomes involved with another man. But when Noah returns to their small town years later, on the cusp of Allie's marriage, it soon becomes clear that their romance is anything but over. The film rights to the Nicholas Sparks novel was acquired in 1996. Jeremy Levin was hired to write the script, which caught the attention of director Steven Spielberg in 1998.
Was this the first Nicholas Sparks movie?
Yes.
Really? Walk to Remember isn't Nicholas Sparks?
Walk to Remember is Nicholas Sparks. I think it was after, right?
Yeah.
No way. That's earlier.
You're missing the best part of this factoid,
Okay.
that Steven Spielberg wanted to direct it and use Tom Cruise as Noah Calhoun.
No.
That would have been really bad.
Too
Steven.
intense.
Yeah.
Spielberg had commitments to other projects, which led to Jim Sheridan being attached to direct it, and then he was like, nah. So then they had Martin Campbell, who directed a bunch of James Bond movies, attached to direct this, and he was like, nah. And so Nick Cassavetes did it. Early in development,
was first, by the way.
Walk to Remember was first.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. That would have been a good one. I don't know why we
who
didn't.
gives a shit, really?
That one's even sadder.
It
than
is really
this
sad
movie.
though. Yeah, I think people talk about this.
This
more
is
than
the
Walk to
canon
Remember.
one.
Yeah.
Early in development, George Clooney was going to play Noah and Paul Newman as the older Noah. But after Clooney watched some Paul Newman movies, he went up to Paul and said he didn't look like him. All right. Cassavetes
wanted Norm Macdonald joke.
I don't know.
That fun fact.
Cassavetes wanted someone unknown and, quote, not handsome to portray Noah. He therefore cast Ryan Gosling in the role.
What?
Gosling was initially surprised by this, quote, I read the script and I thought, he's crazy. I couldn't be more wrong for this movie. It gave me an opportunity to play a character over a period of time from 1940 to 1946 that was quite profound and formative. To prepare for the part, Gosling temporarily moved to Charleston, South Carolina prior to filming. During 2 months, he rode the Ashley River and made furniture. A nationwide search was conducted to find the right actors to play Allie. Actresses who auditioned for the role included Jessica Biel, Britney Spears, Ashley Judd, and Reese Witherspoon. And Rachel McAdams ultimately was cast. On casting her, Cassavetes said, quote, when Rachel McAdams came in and read, it was apparent that she was the one. She and Ryan had great chemistry between them. She commented, I thought it would be a dream to be able to do it. I read the script and went into the audition just 2 days later. It was a good way to do it because I was very full of the story. And then Gosling said, I think it's pretty fair to say that we probably wouldn't have made this film if we hadn't found Rachel. Really, Allie drives the movie. It's her movie and we're in it. It's all kind of depends on an actress. In comparison to the book, the role of Allie was actually extended. In 2004, the New York Times said The Notebook is a high-tone cinematic greeting card. It insists on true mystical eternal love till death do us part and won't have it any other way. In 2004, the Variety said every bit the unashamed tearjerker fans of the popular novel expect. The Notebook is a determined and often affecting romance that doesn't speak down to audiences. In 2004, Roger Ebert said, The Notebook is a sentimental fantasy, but such fantasies are not harmful. We tell ourselves stories every day to make life more bearable. On that note, let's talk a little bit about The Notebook.
Another fun fact, it was the first big Ryan Gosling movie.
Yeah.
We would not have, all the Blade Runner 2049s if not for The Notebook.
Yeah, it's funny that like the director chose him because he didn't think he was pretty cute. Because I think Ryan Gosling's pretty cute. I think they're both pretty cute.
Yeah, this is Jesse's main thing she likes about this movie.
So here's part 2 of. I'm really surprised they haven't kicked me off this podcast. Here's my pitch for this movie. The thing is, there's it's hard to really measure things like good chemistry or attractiveness, when it comes to like how much that makes a movie a good movie. But I do feel like the actors really bring it home. I think that maybe it isn't like it. I don't know. I think I'll say that the weakest parts for me are the old people bits. I think that it's just kind of a little corny.
This is different from
It's
the
a little corny.
praise that you gave before the mics were rolling, which was that both these people were hot and you like watching them.
I was getting there. Okay. I'm saying
and
this
old
is
people are not.
horny Jessy brain. The old people bits. Not only do I think that they're kind of boring and they're ugly, but also like the whole script of it is very corny. I think like. I'm gonna make her remember. It's just so cheesy.
It's
and she's
the
like,
part
do you
that
think our love is so strong that we can die at the same time? And he's like, I think our love can do everything. Like that's all cheesy.
It's the part that feels like a faith-based movie.
Yeah. So we can scrap all that. I don't
Yeah.
care for the frame story. What I think is strong about the movie is like the period piece story of it. And I think that the actors just really bring them to life. I think that Rachel McAdams brings just so much energy, and the way she smiles and twirls, like you can really feel like why he would just instantly be drawn to her. And maybe this is just I think she's hot, or maybe I think that she does a really, really good job just playing this like lively and person with so much energy that you just can't help but fall in love with. And Ryan, the way he looks at her, and like he's always like just about to tease her about something, like he's gonna one up her in this way, and like he just understands how she moves and ticks. I just think that they really play it so well, and they're both so attractive, and I think that is what makes this movie great first and foremost.
You know who should have directed this movie? It would not be a canon like every sorority girl loves this movie if it was directed by this person, but you know who could have directed this movie? Terrence Malick. Terrence Malick could have directed this movie and captured Rachel McAdams twirling and running and smiling and making it feel like this, transcendent, beautiful thing.
In conclusion, Terrence Malick, get a hold of another
Nicholas Sparks novel.
Sparks
Well, To the Wonder is basically a Nicholas Sparks novel, which is another reason why I say it. But they're also like standing in front of ruins and stuff. It's like very cool. Right. I will say that I am walking into this podcast not having made my mind up on whether or not I think The Notebook is good. Yeah. And I'm open to hearing arguments either way. I know Zach is a strong no, and Jessy is a mostly yes.
I don't know if I want to like say that I think it's just fantastic. I think especially compared to When Harry Met Sally, there's not the style there. Or even compared to Dirty Dancing.
It's not as entertaining as...
Yeah, compared to Dirty Dancing, I don't think, like, the characters are as interesting, nearly as interesting. I don't think the characters are nearly as interesting. And those two, I think, are genuinely great. Dirty Dancing and When Harry Met Sally.
Dirty Dancing is a good point of comparison, though, because Michael made the point on that episode that, like, he kind of is a little weary/wary of this romance trope of, like, the gritty blue-collar man who's like more in touch with nature and whatever, which kind of goes back to like All That Heaven Allows. Like really beautifully done in that movie.
Class thing in Dirty Dancing than they do with this. Like they kind of barely touch on it, other than to say, he's riffraff or whatever, and that's
right. Yeah, it also kind of ignores the fact that he is poor or comes from a a lower middle class background.
He's able to lift himself up by his bootstraps and build a big house.
In the second half of the movie, he just like becomes basically a plantation owner. Yeah. Like he doesn't live in the Antebellum South, but he's able to buy this plantation home.
Call it that, yeah.
I guess the idea being that it's cheap and he can fix it up, but like all the things he uses to fix it up are not cheap.
No.
Like he makes a multi-million-dollar home, and the idea is like he does it with his bare hands.
Right.
So like it's. That trope is kind of in general.
Boy. Like there's a lot of these fetishy like magic boys. They can just like basically move mountains for me kind of thing.
It's a dreamboat trope in the same way that like it's like the opposite side of the spectrum is like Christian Grey is a dreamboat. Like ooh, this suave celebrity who's going to sweep me off my feet. Like both of those things kind of exist on two different ends of a spectrum.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, how much are you willing to? I don't know. It's sort of like with the...
how much you're willing to just go with the, like, romance schmaltiness,
yeah.
You know? The fact that it's, like, a genre film for a specific type of audience.
Or a specific demographic. And it's fun, and like, does it do it well?
Yeah.
I guess, like, for what it is, do we think it does it well? Or
I
do you
mean,
think
I feel
it's
like
one that should just go in the dollar bin.
I still want to hear Zach's
Yeah.
negative complaints because I know he's a strong no. I think that it is like visually okay. Like, there are some, there are some good images in this movie. The image of them like canoeing through the Swan
ducks,
Lake
yeah.
is like a really beautiful image.
Yeah.
The image of them kissing in the rain is a really beautiful image.
Yes.
Like, the cinematography is not bad. I mean, it's not like meaningful, moving cinematography most of the time. It's just like kind of glossy, prestige looking cinematography that, like, you could do worse than that. Anyways, Zach, why should I actually think this movie sucks? Because I'm sympathetic to that argument.
Zach and Gigi, go.
Wait, it's just because it's just a dumb movie. No, I don't. I mean, people can be hot and it be boring. I mean, look at
they do. Like I think they're
look
good
at
actors
Kanye.
too. No.
It's just. I think
Are we
he's
calling Kanye hot in this?
I'm not.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they're boring people. I was more leaning on the boring side.
Oh, okay.
I get what you're saying. I don't agree. Nothing got swept up. If it felt like a very manipulative movie.
It is. It really is.
Well, it's manipulating you, and then he's manipulating the woman with Alzheimer's. He's manipulating her early in the movie too.
He's super toxic as like an early first day boyfriend. Like, yikes, get away.
I mean, he literally is like. I was like laughing at all these Letterboxd reviews, which is just like Ryan Gosling's like, I'm gonna kill myself unless you date me, and she's just like, I mean, okay, Jesus.
Yeah. So romantic. I mean, I could see a version of that movie where that works in that, like, it makes an arc out of him growing, like a lot of SRK movies do. But that's not what happens. He just does the really yikesy toxic stuff to get with her, and then they're together and they're super happy together. Like, and he never has to do awful toxic stuff because of how much they love each other.
Yeah.
Well, and they never like deal with anything. Like, they literally have like a little scene, and it's like they fight a lot, but then after the end, they like to kiss. And you're like, I mean, well, what's the fighting part? Like, what are they fighting about? Is it because she's a fucking rich, spoiled person, and he's, working class man just trying to make it ends meet,
But they don't. That's not really the reason why they yell at each other. They're just like,
no, but they
have this weird explosive. Like, I guess they're supposed to think they have this explosive chemistry where, like, they're so like they have so much energy for each other sexually. They're like, they also like are constantly throwing energy at each other when they're like in conflict. It's really a weird dynamic. I don't get it.
It's like they don't really give you enough to know what that is about.
Yeah, they really don't. Like, the characters are actually very thinly written.
Yeah, they are.
Well, that's the other thing is, so like you gotta like being around them. I didn't like being around either of them. They were both kind of boring.
They're boring.
Yeah.
They're pretty just boring, bland ass people. Like, Rachel McAdams is like this, like, Southern money blonde woman. I was just like, oh,
Who magically has no problematic views.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm sure if we like got you in a room, you would be like saying stuff, and we'd be like, whoa, Rachel McAdams. And
I mean, you could look at it as like a Romeo and Juliet movie, and like those characters are also very thinly written, and that's kind of
I don't know.
But
it's just to me, it's just very stale. Like, there's just nothing. Like, I don't know. I can like pinpoint stuff, and it's not like the worst thing ever. And I'm not saying this is the worst thing ever, but I'm just like, it's just very stale across the board. Like, by the end of it, I was just like, oh, all right, lucky old people, I got to die.
Yeah.
I have to watch the credits for this.
Also, when we talk about how Nicholas Sparks is like an evangelical, and this kind of is a faith-based movie, like in the last act, there's a lot of talk about like, our love can cause a miracle, and like God, whatever we can't solve by science, we'll solve through God. And it's like God takes them both at the same time to take them to heaven to live together. And like, it's just, I mean, if you believe that stuff, sure, I guess, but like, there really isn't that much distance between something like this and something like Fireproof. For example, there are a lot of those movies.
I'm surprised they didn't go to. I'm surprised they didn't go to church at some point. And just,
really, yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's like it just feels like a PG movie. Like clearly these people just want to fuck each other all day, and you're like, I mean, that's fine. That's what Dirty Dancing's about. So then let them do that. Instead, they're just like,
they could have leaned into that more. Yeah,
it's
you
not
get
really
more than you would get in a PG movie, but they could have leaned into it.
These are like the kind of movies I would watch before I realized I could watch stuff on HBO.
Yeah,
and then.
Well, this is a movie you have a lot of nostalgia for, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know
like
if I have
what,
a lot of nostalgia.
I mean, this is a movie that I think a lot of people have nostalgia for, and I think you were of that age when it came out and was popular. So, like, what did this feel like in the moment? What was the zeitgeist about?
I think I feel like I've already kind of said what I think is strong about it, which is I think the actors just generally do a good job, and it's just been cool too to see them both of their acting careers since this movie too. This is probably my origin for both of them.
They're both good actors.
Yeah, and see the things that they've been in. I think they're both good actors, period. And I think that they capture this spicy romance really well, period. And so I think as a romance movie, at bare minimum, they have good chemistry, and it's just sort of fun to see them on screen. I think that, especially comparing it to some other ones that we've done for the series, it's not as strong. I don't, like I said, I think the characters are pretty hollow, and the plot is a little obvious and shallow and preachy, and also just kind of corny at times. So it's definitely not. It doesn't compare to some of the other ones we've done for the series, and some of the other ones that I even probably would have liked to see on the series if we were doing a whole year or something of some of the best.
Well, the movie from last week, Titanic, also has a cheesy kind of melodramatic romance, but at least they give you a cool fucking iceberg.
Yeah.
This movie.
I think that Titanic is a much better movie.
Yeah.
They give you
much
nothing.
better.
So why do you think?
Yeah.
Why do you think The Notebook has lived on? What do you think people do?
I honestly,
evangelicals are horny too.
I mean, one thought that I have is that it probably won't. This movie isn't that old. It's 20 years old, and I think that a lot of people who hold it as a classic are just people who remember it being really popular. But I think if you showed this to Zoomers, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is this shit?" I don't think this movie is gonna have legs in the way that Dirty Dancing and Titanic have had legs.
Maybe not. I don't know.
That's fair. No, at least in Titanic, it's this romance is a little corny, but here's a cool here's the ship on its axis.
Yeah. I mean, the Titanic characters are so much better.
Plus, you get Billy Zane. You don't get anybody of that. There's no villains in this. The
Billy Zane, the closest character to Billy Zane is that character she almost marries, right? What's that guy's name?
Yeah, but he's not even that mean.
He's really not. Everything is so soft
nice.
and squishy in this movie. Yeah.
And that's the other thing is there's no tension. Even her parents are kind of we don't totally like him, but
it's just
fine.
Rich girls don't marry poor boys.
It's very
from the Gatsby movie. That's the entirety of the evil in this movie.
Yeah. Well, the mom keeps the letters, which was mean, and then
because she secretly wants them to get together the whole time.
She doesn't.
She does because she has regrets about how she didn't get with the hunky blue collar man.
Yeah, she wanted to bang the working man.
Right, and so she was trying to help her daughter keep up appearances or whatever. But she secretly wants her to.
It would have been cool to know what ended up happening with her relationship with her parents, with her marrying him. They don't give us that either.
They don't, because there's no actual hard edges in the movie. Even though it's Cassavetes, the guy who made it is John Cassavetes' dad. There are no hard edges.
And it makes you wonder, did they have to cut a lot from the book, or did the book just not do it?
I think
don't
that's
know that.
Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah, I don't
That's
want to
got
give
to
Nicholas
be.
Sparks
Knowing how
credit,
squishy
but-
this movie is, they were probably just like, "Whoa, we disapprove, but it's okay. You'll get 1 million instead of 2 million when we
Yeah.
die." She's like, "Oh, Dad." Yeah, I don't know. Fuck these people. Whatever.
And again, like for a movie
You're
that's
dead.
like theoretically about class, it's really like class unconscious. By the
Yeah.
end. Like money is not a thing that affects anybody's life negatively. in this
No, not
movie.
at all.
So I think I've been swayed to the no camp here.
I don't hate it. I don't think it really even compares really to some of the other ones we've done for the series. But I think it's fun.
Wait, one for Zach's team.
Yeah, we'll give this one to Zach this week. The Notebook. Also, can I just say we had to watch this on iTunes because it wasn't on Amazon, and iTunes streaming service sucks.
Blows.
Like 4 different times in the movie, it just stopped in the middle of it, and it was like, "This is not available." And we had to reload it. And
How
so,
did you watch this movie, Zach?
It's on HBO Max.
I
could have
told
done
you
that.
to look on HBO Max. I just got us an HBO Max subscription.
Dude,
And I
HBO
was like-
Max is the tits.
Yeah, it works actually. It's so
The
good.
tits, the phrase everyone is saying.
And I told Andrew to look on it before we went and purchased it on whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, it's probably not on there." And then I was like, "Okay, I guess not."
Well, Letterboxd said it wasn't, so
Wow.
I just believe Letterboxd like a fool.
Man. So yeah, I mean, you know what? If you're a teenager who hasn't realized that you can just watch shows on HBO
And you have evangelical parents.
and you have evangelical parents, I think that The Notebook is a great
I mean, just-
gateway drug.
Back
to-
to Andrew's point. Like, do you think like Zoomers they love them some Euphoria? Do
They
you think
really
people
do.
watching Euphoria are going to be wanting to fuck
You know
around
what?
with the
It's
Notebook?
the very
hot
sheltered
people are
kids who aren't
so
allowed
very
to
much more on like teenagers' fingertips now, just on TikTok.
Yeah.
You can just see hot goth babes like
That's true.
not naked, but just kind of dancing around in a really hot way.
Yeah.
We didn't have this when we were growing up. I
That's
probably would have
true.
realized a lot of things much more quickly if this was my reality. But I had a flip phone.
Even the super sheltered evangelical girls, like they have smartphones.
Yes.
They can make a Google search if you want to make a Google search,
I
right?
just didn't know. I didn't, yeah, we had
the
dial-up internet till like
Yeah.
who knows.
Yeah, that's my theory. I don't think it's gonna hit.
Well, we'll see. We'll revisit this in 10 years and see
yeah.
if the
See you in
Notebook's
25 years, everyone.
Do we have anything
Sorry?
else? Do we have anything else to talk about? I mean, it's kind of short. Do we have anything
This
else?
is a short part too.
Like honestly, just the stale, boring ass movie. I got nothing to say.
Have you ever seen a Hallmark movie, Zach? I haven't. I feel like there's probably things to say about the
From, like,
scenario
start to
between this
finish?
as a Hallmark movie.
Are we talking about the ones that the people that make the Christmas movies every year?
That is the Hallmark movie.
This is at least better than that.
I mean, it's better than that in terms of the cinematography from what I've seen of Hallmark movies, but I've seen like no Hallmark movies.
I think the writing is not much different.
No, the writing's not much. I mean, it's like a Hallmark movie with bigger actors.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's got some good acting, I think, in it. I think fine, like not annoying. I will say, like pretty much, I don't like almost any of the scenes with their old. I think not even the old people actors. I think they're fine, they're whatever. But like all the nurses and stuff too, just everybody, all the lines, it's all really corny. It's not well done at all. I don't think.
I do think that. I mean, do you think that Hallmark movies would exist like they exist today if it wasn't for the success of like the Nicholas Sparks wave? Because if
It's
that's
possible,
true, this is
yeah.
kind of a force for evil in the world, right?
People like the Hallmark movies though.
People do, but they're also like evangelical movies.
They're
like
really boring.
they're like super conservative. They're super white. They don't have like they have like maybe one LGBT romance because there's like protests about it. Like
Why are you protesting the dumbest thing in the world? Like, who cares? Let the Hallmark people.
the gays
watch
like the Hallmark
dumbass.
movies.
No, guys, gays watch something better. Join the dark side. Listen to Cinematary. Don't watch Hallmark movies. Come on, gays.
I'm not saying all gays like Hallmark. I'm saying there is there's a podcast of like gay people watching Hallmark movies. I know this is a thing.
You guys could do something so much more exciting in
Yeah.
your lives. Why do you need to do that? It's fine. You live your lives, gays. I'm not gonna do that. I ain't reading all that, but I'm happy for you. I'm sorry it happened. We have nothing else to say
Notebook.
about the
It's
Notebook.
available to watch on stuff. I don't know what to tell you.
It's on HBO Max.
It's on
You know
HBO
what?
Max.
If you're not pleased with the audio quality of this video, consider becoming a Patreon. We have $1 and $5 tiers on patreon.com.
Yeah.
Where
My microphone may or may not be working anymore. It's very sad.
We may have to buy a new snowball.
You have to go to the patron funds. All right. Well, that will wrap up this episode of Cinematary. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cinematary, on Twitter and Instagram at @Cinematary, and on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/Cinematary, where we post all the movies that we talked about in this episode. Thank you. As we said before, patreon.com/Cinematary. If you want to just toss us $1, you can now do that.
That's about
And we have our first $1 supporter. I'm going to probably
Oh,
butcher
cool.
your name, so I apologize. Teresa Marshty?
Teresa?
Teresa?
Or is it
Teresa. No, it's Teresa.
Teresa.
It's a Z. Teresa Marshty.
Thank you for being our patron, Teresa.
Thanks for being our first $1 supporter. But thank you to our other patrons: Cam, Chad Newsom, Corey Willingham, Harry Eskin, Candace Sisson, Ron Hayes, Titus Arthur, Tyler Chandler, and Whitney Rio Ross. Thank you so much for your patronage. Next week, we're going to conclude our romance series with 2018's To All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Which
Zach,
is
will
better
you-
than The Notebook.
Will you be so sad when the series is over, Zach? Have you just loved the
Devastated.
series so much? Zach has really, really loved that I gave him 6 weeks of romance movies.
Hey, most of them are good.
I mean, I think so, but I don't know if Zach.
Well, let's see.
agrees.
Let's go down the list. What are we batting right now? We got extra time in this podcast. Thumbs up, thumbs down in all the movies. Movie number 1, Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. Thumbs up.
Thumbs
All right,
up.
Zach says thumbs up.
Movie number 2, When Harry Met Sally.
2 thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Movie number 3, Titanic. Oh, wait, am I skipping one?
Poetic Justice.
Poetic Justice.
Didn't watch it. I'm going
Thumbs
to.
up. Movie number 4, Titanic.
Oh,
Thumbs
Zach didn't like it.
That opinion, I think. Movie number 5, The Notebook, thumbs down.
You hate
And
it.
you've already seen To All the Boys Loved Before, and that's thumbs down, right?
Okay, so it's 50-50.
So we're 50-50.
It's ending
Yeah.
on a negative note for Zach. So sorry, Zach.
Well, I mean, if there's a lesson to be learned from that, it's that the film industry has really been slacking on romance in
But
the past several
according to
decades.
Zach, it's moving to television.
Let me tell you that there's going to be that erotic thriller thing with Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck. Romance is back.
Wait, who's directing that?
Just looking at that.
Adrian Lynn.
Oh, fuck yeah. Okay. That could be good.
That sounds cool. And there's a lot of good romantic television shows.
Sure.
Like,
but
we're
they're all
watching-
shot To All the Boys.
We're
Loved
watching
Before.
Outlander right now.
Outlander is really good. Yeah.
And what was that one? Ordinary People? Is that on Hulu?
Yeah.
Do you know? Not ordinary people.
Not
Normal
ordinary
people.
Normal people. Not ordinary people.
Normal
It's on
people.
Hulu. Super good. There's a lot of really good romances right now on television, and I like that. I love a good splasha.
You do. You've
Love a
made it
good
abundantly
splasher.
clear.
Splasha romance. Anyway.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Stay cool.
Adios.
What a chaotic winding down of that podcast.